What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you tune in and check out the content. And I want to react to what Kendrick Perkins said about Chris Paul and the reason that he thinks Chris Paul was sent home. And because most of the opinions that you get about this Chris Paul situation is you either get the politically correct answer, or you may get the people who make it out to seem like Chris Paul is the victim, right? Like Chris Paul had no fault in this situation at all. And so I was watching Road Tripping, and Kendrick Perkins, so far, in my opinion, was the one. Well, it was Kendrick Perkins and who else? Kenya Martin. Those guys were the ones so far who publicly came out and really was holding Chris Paul accountable, right? And so, with that being said, I'm gonna play the audio of what Kendrick Perkins had to say on his podcast, Road Tripping, and then I'm gonna come back and give my opinion.
Was saying they were shocked by this decision. So, with all of these different reports out there, what really happened?
Well, wake me up when these three guys stop straddling the fucking fence. You know what I'm saying? And actually say something, Allie. That's when I'll wake up.
We need you to come in. We need you to
I
come in.
I tried to.
We need you to come in and push them over.
That's
the
why
fence.
we can't let him go last. That's why we can't let him go.
KYP.
I was waiting to see, you know what I'm saying, if somebody was going to actually say something.
That's you.
Speak the truth. No.
All right, Perk. It's a bullshit, Perk.
It's not just me.
It's a bullshit, Perk.
Guess what? Richard Jefferson won a championship with Ty Lue. Shannon Fry won a championship with Ty Lue. So they know Ty Lue very well. They know that it takes a lot to get to Ty Lue. They know what type of person Ty Lue is. And so when you think about, and we hear these stories about, oh, Ty Lue wasn't speaking to him, or he wouldn't take a meeting with him, or they wasn't on speaking terms for 3 weeks, it gets you to thinking, what the hell was CP3 doing? You get sent home at 3 o'clock in the morning? What the hell were you doing in that locker room? Because it wasn't just because of that event, that situation that happened. It was stuff that kept building up throughout the course of the season. He was doing stuff behind T. Lue's back, going to players, whispering, saying things, and causing turmoil when the team is already struggling and going through a lot. The last thing you need is a guy that you brought in to be an extension of the coach, to be a positive voice in the locker room, to be a negative voice in the locker room. And that's what I'm getting from it, because it's hard as hell. And people say, oh, yeah, I sit at the bench and collect vet minimum for 3 years and be a mentor. You have to applaud people like Udonis Haslem, because that's not an easy task, right? That's not an easy task, especially when things are not going well for you. So when I think about him being sent home, and I think about me knowing Ty Lue, my feelings still remain the same about Lawrence Frank. He they should have been, his ass he need to be gone. Okay, he needs to be gone. But my feelings don't change about him. But what I will say, I've been reading, I've been listening, and it's a lot of people that have been commenting, a lot of text messages I've been receiving that said, hey, Perk, stop it now. CP3 ain't no saint. And these were people that actually shared a locker room with CP3. I'm going to give you an example. They're on the road. They're playing the game. They up by double digits. Okay, a team comes back. I believe it was Memphis. It might have been Dallas. Memphis or Dallas game. Coach Van Gundy calls the defensive scheme to one of the young guys and tell them, hey, we're going to do this. They break out of the timeout. Chris Paul goes to the young fella and tell him, no, you need to do this. He does what Chris Paul tells him to do, and he get his ass cooked. And those are the things that you cannot do We all know T. Lue. We all know that it got to be a certain level for him to get to the point where he's not fucking speaking to you. Y'all probably seen T. Lue blow up one time. And that was the time where he called Braun out in the finals, and then he hit it, and Braun hit another switch, and then y'all went on here to
win,
have history, come back down 3-1 in the NBA finals.
So you're saying he was warned multiple times? He was warned multiple times.
All right, so let me stop it right there before before he go any further. So yeah, I mean, like as a point guard, if the point guard is not an extension of the coach on the floor, like that bridge, that communication, then the point guard really, he's no good to the coach. So if you have Chris Paul doing what Kendrick Perkins said, and he's going behind the coach's back, and he's changing plays, and he's having the guys on the court do something different and undermining the coach, of course the coach is not going to trust him, right? And so, I'm surprised though, at this point in time in Chris Paul's his career, that he's doing stuff like that. Everybody's saying that he's one of the top, he's a top 5 point guard in the history of the game, which I don't feel like that. I don't even think Chris Paul is top 10. I said in other videos, plenty of other point guards that I have seen throughout history, and even a couple that are playing right now that I would take before I would take Chris Paul, right? So I don't think he's a top 10 or top 10 point guard in the history of the game. But with that being said, when Chris Paul do things like this just proved that he's not one of the top point guards in the history. Because if you think about what a point guard, what his job is to do, his job is to set the table for the rest of the players on the court, make sure and take advantage of matchups. His job is to make sure that everybody get the ball in like where they need it, when they need it. And if he do that, and he's communicating also with the coach, like he's an extension, he's thinking he's on the same thinking pattern that the coach have, then that's good. But when you have somebody who just want to do their own thing because they think that they know what's best, your team really can't, you're not going to be able to win like that. You can have some, a limited amount of success. Like he has done well in the regular season, but when he made it, he made it to the finals that time. Who did they play? They played the Milwaukee Bucks, and he made it to the finals when they played the Bucks. And I think they gave up they had a 2-0 lead on the Bucks and gave that up, So he's never really been able to, in my opinion, seal the deal. And maybe this is part of it, because Chris Paul, from what everybody said, he do think that he's the he's the smartest player, he's the smartest person in the room, and very opinionated. But even if you're opinionated and you're arrogant, there has to be something. You have to respect people's authority. You got to respect the coach. You got to respect the people that are above the coach, like management and stuff like that. And you also have to respect your peers. You have to treat them like they are teammates. You can't, and I made other videos about his relationship with James Harden when they was at Houston. Also DeAndre Jordan, him and DeAndre Jordan really, used to bump heads. Sometimes used to bump heads with Blake Griffin. DeAndre Ayton, a big part of the reason why DeAndre Ayton, wanted to leave Phoenix was because of Chris Paul and the coach over there, right? So you can't, like I said, as a point guard, he needs to be the bridge between the coach and the players. And if he think that he's a coach and he could reprimand players and talk to them any kind of way, he's not going to get the best out of his teammates, right? And so, in my opinion, that's a big part of why he didn't, he was not able to seal the deal when he was playing. And it's probably now that he's not playing on a level that he was a few years ago, like, you know, the team is, they're like, man, you know what? We had it with him. We're going to send him home. And it's really embarrassing for him because he's supposed to be on this farewell tour, but he pissed them off to the point where they don't even care about his farewell tour. They don't even care about, you know, like maybe even hanging his jersey, you know, at their arena or retiring his jersey, you know, from the team. So yeah, he must have really been a nuisance. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.